So table cricket in Australian cricket overall, I think will take off at some stage.
So how does one, like, a 13-year-old get into cricket, and how does a 20-plus-year-old get into professional cricket? No one has explained. So
Exactly,
hopefully through
yeah.
our channel we want to do that and
Yeah.
lay it out for everyone. Hey, do this and do that.
Even I know there's a lot of academies that do overseas tours, and in this last season that just went, we had over 5,000 or close to 6,000 kids that are playing cricket. So I think for the parents, more than anything, is really encourage your kids to go out there and play as much as you can, any sports.
Hello and welcome to the Cricnix YouTube channel. My name is Nabil, and today we are here at Cricket New South Wales, and we'll be discussing a couple of really interesting topics over here. Firstly, we'll like to find out why is Australian cricket team so successful, and secondly, what are the pathways of an individual to get into the Australian cricket team. So we have got with us Safan over here, who plays first grade cricket for NSW and also coaching in Cricket New South Wales Pathway. So Safan, welcome to the Cricnix podcast.
Yep, thank you.
So firstly, to kick off, what I would like you to do is just tell our audience what do you like, how did you reach to where you are at now.
Yep.
For any aspiring individual, and what do you do for Cricket New South Wales as well?
Yeah, so firstly I'll start off with what I do. So my main role, my full-time role at Cricket New South Wales is working as a multicultural engagement specialist in community cricket. And as you mentioned, I also do a bit of coaching in the pathways, in the female and the male space, which I'm really passionate about, my coaching as well. And in terms of my own cricket, when I started off as an 8-year-old in the Bankstown junior cricket system.
Nice.
And that's when I started my junior cricket and played through there, and then eventually the pathway through to Premier Cricket, which some people know as grade cricket. And I'm still playing now. So yeah, been part of that whole pathway through since I've been younger.
Okay, excellent, and it's a success story, and we're glad that you made that far. So, and before this conversation, we were just having an informal chat as well. So, your parents migrated from Pakistan, is that right? Like, would you tell like how difficult or how easy it was for you to reach this stage?
Yeah, so my dad got a migration through IT in 1989.
All right.
So
that's a long time ago.
a long time ago. So I think we were calculating the other day. I think they've lived longer in Australia now than they were in Pakistan.
Okay.
My parents. So my brother was 5 or 6 years old. My sister was, I think, 3 or 4 years old. So they were very young. They started their schooling life here.
Mm-hmm.
So they were young when they came. I was born late in '93, November '93. So I was born and raised in Australia, but still had a lot of the Pakistani culture from when I was younger. My parents spoke to me in Urdu as well, so I've learned that since I was younger, which has been really good because I can kind of speak both English and Urdu as well.
That's always good to have.
Yeah, it's always good. So yeah, my parents, they've always been part of the community, working in the community, organising a lot of our cultural and religious events as well, through a couple of festivals and things like that. So they've always been passionate around the community space. And for myself, I think that's why I've kind of loved being involved in cricket, being part of the community, but also working in the community as well since I've been younger.
So how did you get involved? Like, what was your gateway to cricket? Like, as in, did you start from school, or was it a regional club that you joined? Like, how? Like, I think that's very interesting for us, especially to find that out from you, like because we heard lots of stories, it's too difficult or it's too hard, so, but you made it, right? So we want to know from you that how did you start, and was it easy or was it difficult for you?
So the passion for cricket, obviously it's naturally in our blood as Pakistanis.
Exactly.
So I watched it since I was really young. My brother played, he's 10 years older than me, so I watched him play. My dad played as well through his school and uni life back in Pakistan, and they were always passionate. My whole family watched it, so that's where the passion already kind of grew from. When I was really young, my brother used to bowl to me in the garage as a 5 or 6 year old, but just playing casually with my brother. But I remember when I was in school at Bankstown Primary School, we had people come and deliver cricket to us in schools. and they gave us a little flyer, and at the bottom of the flyer it had a person to contact at Bankstown Sports Junior Cricket Club. And that's when I said to my dad, "Oh, I think they're doing some trials for a club team.
Okay.
I think this is a chance I can maybe join a team." Because my brother had played a bit of junior cricket, so my dad was aware of a bit of the junior pathway already.
Alright.
That was my first kind of taste of junior club cricket. As an 8-year-old, so I was playing under nines, and that's when I first started playing competitive bat v ball in a proper organised competition.
Alright,
When I was
okay.
younger.
And from that, from there onwards, like basically, once you enter it, then
Yeah.
it's relatively easy, I assume, to get to the higher grades and to the next grades as well, right?
Yeah, so I was quite lucky. I had really good coaches when I was younger, and good supportive like family network as well, because they always took me to the grounds as a young kid, and yeah, like obviously always grateful for them for doing that, because I think sometimes in the subcontinent community, especially, some kids probably focus more on their studies because their parents are pushing
Yeah.
towards them. Where my parents I've been really lucky, where they kind of balanced both studies and cricket, and they understood that I was really passionate about it. And I think when they saw that I was doing fairly okay when I got into a couple of the rep teams when I was younger, that kind of motivated myself and them as well to kind of expose me to all different types of cricket around Metro Sydney. So that was really good as a young kid.
Okay, all right. Now, what, like, one of the main questions that we want to answer for people close to our background, like you can say the South Asian community or anyone coming into Australia,
Yeah.
or anyone who has been living here for ages now, we want to lay it down for them, because it's still like I'm too much into cricket, but even I don't know
Yeah.
the specifics of how one enters into professional cricket and then ultimately play for the Australian cricket team. So say for example, if you've got two situations, right? Like there is an under 13-year-old kid who wants to play cricket for Australia, and then there is a 20 plus, who's passed all the under 18s and 19s, so he or she can't take part into that. So how does one, like a 13-year-old get into cricket, and how does a 20-plus-year-old get into professional cricket?
Yeah, but I think it's a really good question, because you're right. I think in our South Asian community, it's a lot of people aren't educated on that, and it's not
Exactly.
no one's fault. It's just
Yeah,
I
it's
think
just
maybe
we
yeah.
like no one has explained. So
Exactly,
hopefully
yeah,
through
yeah.
our channel we want to do that and
Yeah.
lay it out for everyone. Hey, do
Yeah.
this and do
Yeah.
that.
So what I'll do is I'll explain from the bottom, from the entry level program
Yeah.
of where the kids can start. So what we have is something called the Woolworths Cricket Blast program for kids, which is from 5 to 10-year-olds, where they join and they play like there's different little mini games. They learn the little bit of the nuances of cricket, about how to hold the bat, how to hold the ball. So that's Woolworths Cricket Blast.
Okay.
And kids can do that up into the ages of up to age of 10, 9 and 10,
And
then
anyone can join that regardless of
Correct.
which area they're living in.
Yep.
If I live in, say, Western Sydney, do I need to join a program that's like in Western Sydney, or can I join the North one as well? Like, how does that
Yeah,
work?
so there's various programs across all the clubs in Sydney. So you'll have your different districts associations, and in those associations you'll have different clubs. Obviously, the bigger clubs run a bigger program,
Okay.
and they can they have the resources to it. But pretty much, if you look across Metro Sydney, whether it be Western Sydney or Eastern Sydney, there'll be clubs that have these blast programs running.
Okay.
Wherever there isn't a blast program running, Cricket New South Wales also run some Cricket New South Wales Cricket Blast hubs as well. And you can find that on playcricket.com as well.
Okay.
Where they can go and search where their local club is. If they put their suburb, their postcode in, their parents, then they can see where he or she could join the local club. And you'll be able to find plenty of clubs in and around Sydney, whether it be, as you said, Western Sydney as well.
So that's not an issue for anyone to find, basically. You just need
No.
to. So if I start today, I go on playcricket.com, put my suburb and postcode in,
Yep.
and then I'll find out which clubs basically I
Yeah.
can join.
Yeah,
Or,
Yeah.
if there are any events happening, or how do they take in, like, what's the first step? Do they take any trials or anything, or is it just a program you can just basically go in and just start playing and practicing?
Yeah, pretty much you can just start anyone, someone that's never played cricket in their life, or someone's played for a couple of years and they actually want to join an organised kind of program. Anyone can join.
And
Yeah, that's not an issue. For it doesn't matter what level you've played as a young kid. It's more like an entry level program.
Okay.
And then the next step, as you asked for, like the under 13.
Yeah.
So then after that, once you've done Cricket Blast, usually it's probably for a couple of years. You could join your local club, and again, that local club might be running the Cricket Blast program. The next process will be to join Stage 1 cricket, which is under 10s and 11s, and then you have Stage 2 cricket for the 12s and 13s, and then you have your Stage 3 cricket for the older ones up to ages of under 16.
All right.
So that's the pathway from going from Cricket Blast entry level programs to Stage 1, Stage 2, Stage 3 cricket. And that's the process. Again, as a kid, from myself, I went through the same process. It wasn't called the same thing, like Stage 1, 2, and 3, but pretty much going through that pathway. And when they're in that junior cricket pathway, within that, opportunities will arise. So we have our youth championships, which is traditionally known as rep cricket. So during the club season, if you're performing well, you'll have, before the season or in around that time, you'll have rep trials. And then you'll represent your association. So, for example, an association might have 6, 7 clubs, and the best kids in that age group will come together to form a rep team after doing selections. So that's another pathway. Our youth champs as well that the kids can join or get selected in.
Say they don't get selected in association, they can still continue playing for their clubs, right? And then, at some point in time during their age, ultimately they'll, hopefully qualify for an association and then move forward from there.
Yeah, correct. Exactly right. Yeah, so it's not the be or end all if you make it or don't make it. There's a lot of success stories that cricketers that have played international cricket where they haven't made the junior representative levels, whether that be for rep cricket or even the Cricket New South Wales pathways. That which is another obviously step through the pathways as well of reaching that.
All right.
But yeah, look, it's not I always tell parents this because everyone wants to play for Australia tomorrow, right?
Yeah.
But there is a process to it. I know a lot of kids that didn't make our pathways, even at Cricket New South Wales, but have eventually gone on to have a really successful career playing in the Big Bash, or whether it be playing state cricket or for Australia as well. So, I think it's really important for parents to understand that. It's like if a kid's 12 years old, he's not going to play international cricket tomorrow, so it's a bit of a process.
I'll come back to that later as well. Now, the second part is, say someone is past the 20s and, or in the 30s as well, like us. So how do they get into professional cricket? What's their pathway? It won't be the same as Cricket Blast, right?
Exactly. Yeah. So Premier Cricket is the one to join, which is traditionally known as grade cricket, some people call it. So Sydney Premier Cricket is your pathway. So you have your five grades for 5th grade all the way to 1st grade, and people basically that are playing 1st grade, most of them are there to try to get a contract for their state. So or a Big Bash contract. So from in the grade system, obviously the better you perform, you'll move up the grades naturally. So
and just for everyone's clearance, 5th grade is basically the lowest one, and then the 1st grade is the top one, right?
The top one, yeah. So 1st grade is the one just below the state team, and the second 11 team. So yeah, basically similar for me. I started off in 5th grade, like most people would, and then as you perform.
What age were you when you were in 5th grade?
I was quite young. I was 13.
13.
So I was quite lucky to get selected as a young kid, and experience playing with adults, which was completely new. Obviously, even playing on turf cricket on turf pitches was a great experience for me. I think that's where I probably kind of excelled my cricket, because I was playing with adults, and it exposed me to playing more difficult cricket. So
all right, okay. So then, say for example, you get selected at the state level, and then of course it's the Australian cricket team then, which gets selected from the state teams. Is that right? So exactly. So it's all about performance at the end of the day. From 1st grade, if you get into the state team, if you're lucky enough, and then if you perform there as well. Hopefully within a season or two, if you're doing really well, then it'll be for national honours, I guess. Okay. I know a lot of Australian cricketers who played so much state cricket. They never got into the Australian cricket team as well. Like there's so many names that float around, or maybe they were not able to make that mark, but still they had a successful careers, right? Like they would have played Big Bash and they would have played all other. Do you think there is still they would still be called as a successful professional career in Australia despite not making it to the cricket team?
Oh yeah, for sure. Are you referring to people that haven't made the big?
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
exactly.
yeah, exactly. Like a lot of people are still playing, for example, even first grade for a long
Hmm.
time, and like that could be their test cricket, for example, if they made it to
Yeah.
first grade, right? Same as if they've played the Big Bash, but haven't played for Australia. If
Hmm.
they've nowadays, it's so lucky where people can go overseas and play as well,
Yeah,
and they're
so many
exposed.
leagues happening in the
Yeah,
world as well.
exactly right. So I think kids are really lucky these days where they have so many avenues
Hmm.
to go play overseas as well. Even I know there's a lot of academies that do overseas tours, and
Hmm.
I remember as a kid that was not happening, which was only like 15,
Yeah,
20
like
years ago. There was barely any overseas tours. Like kids nowadays, even when they're 15 or 16, they have a lot of academies that are going to, say, Sri Lanka, India, going to Pakistan, going to England, and getting exposed to those conditions
yeah,
already without being at the professional level.
yeah,
So I
that's
think
amazing.
naturally that will eventuate with other people making it professionally as well.
Yeah, since like all the leagues have come, like IPL and PSL and Big Bash League, I think these avenues have really opened for everyone as well. And apart
Yeah.
from that, like as you've said, overseas tours.
Mm.
So now I'm gonna ask a question that's typically from a very South Asian perspective kind of way, right?
Yeah.
We in in our textbooks, it's basically if you pursue a career, you need to make money out of it, right? Like that's the bottom
Yeah.
line. So I want to understand from so to all the parents out there who want their kids to play cricket, at what age do you typically think this is a financially viable option? Like at what age do they start to earn or could practically earn, that they could run a household or do some get some benefits, because I know it's a lot of commitment initially, like 8-10 years I think minimum, where you would need your kid to just go and play,
Yeah.
right? What are your thoughts on about that? Like I know, like I'm not asking for a straight answer, hey, this is the
Yeah.
this is the age where you start earning,
Yeah. Yeah.
but generally what happens in
Yeah.
this area?
Look, I think everyone has different motivations, right? Like for me, it's not about obviously like I like cricket because I like playing with my friends and loving like I love a challenge kind of thing.
Mhm.
But obviously, you're right. Like people want to do it because they want to earn money from
Yeah.
playing cricket. And again, look, I think when once they get to a professional level, playing state cricket, Big Bash is probably when they'll start
Mm.
earning a bit of money. I know some people like in the first grade level might be getting paid, but not all clubs have that option of
Generally that
paying.
doesn't happen.
Yeah, so you would have some clubs that have a lot of sponsors and stuff that might pay players, but it's not a thing you would be survive. It's not a salary where they'll be surviving on
Hmm.
that money. It's a bit of extra cash for some people, but most of the time it'd be at the next Big Bash and the state cricket level. They'll start earning a bit of money and they're seeing money come
Hmm.
in for
Okay.
playing. Yep.
All right, that's good to know. No,
Yeah.
hopefully that
Yeah.
answers some of the questions. Now, one of the other questions that we had was, in the last 5 years, have you seen an increase in multicultural participation in Cricket New South Wales, or have you not? Like, what are your thoughts on that, just on your level, since you're the
Yeah.
multicultural and engagement specialist as well for
Yeah.
Cricket New South Wales?
Yeah, definitely. Like the South Asian cricket numbers have gone through the roof
Really?
over the last 5 years. Even in the last few years, I think there's over. So in 21-22 season, we had just over 1,000 cricket blast kids. And in this last season that just went, we had over 5,000 or close to 6,000 kids that are playing cricket blast that are from the South Asian background.
Wow, that's
So
massive.
yeah, so it is amazing. Like we have that increase in numbers, and same with junior cricket. We have over I think it's 5,500 kids
Mm-hmm.
that were in the 22-23 season, and then in this last season that we just had, we had over 6,200 kids that played.
Wow,
In
that's
junior cricket, that's
massive.
from stage 1 to stage 3 across New South Wales. So again, that's massive. And then in senior cricket, the increase. So there was 17% were South Asian backgrounds that played senior cricket a couple of years ago, and when this last season that just passed, we had over 23% of senior cricketers. So that's after stage 3 in the
Hmm.
senior just the club competitions.
Okay.
We've had over 23%, which is almost a quarter of the competitions across
Yeah.
New South Wales that are South Asian background. So those are just a little few stats
Few
that
of the
shows
stats.
that are showing the increase in the South Asian population. That's just due to the fact of a lot of migrations happen a lot as well. We had COVID, which obviously stopped that a little bit, but
Yeah.
since then as well, we've had a lot of South Asian communities that have come and playing in just a lot of the social cricket leagues as well that we have that aren't. Sometimes we are unable to capture those figures, but there are also a lot of social cricket leagues that are
Yeah.
happening across
Internal. Yeah.
Sydney as
Hundred
well.
percent. I agree on that. And also, I think that has to do with some sort of awareness also happen.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
people are more aware with the internet and social media now as they were maybe quite
Yeah.
a few years ago. Now, the last question for you, Safan, is so we at Cricnix, we have been organizing tapeball cricket for about a year now. And we are, of course, very passionate about it. What do you think about tapeball cricket? Does it have a place in the Australian cricket setup, like as a branch in the future, or
Yeah.
can people celebrate that in Australia? Because right now the numbers are low, but what do you think the future is for
Yeah.
tapeball cricket in Australia?
I'm really glad you asked me this question because I've actually been working on this project for a few years now at New South Wales about tapeball cricket.
Okay.
I've taken it up with Cricket Australia as well, which is like a couple of years ago. Done a lot of presentations on it as well. A lot of people know about it, but not a lot of people knew exactly how it all works and everything. So it is in the works at the moment with Cricket New South Wales getting on board with this, and I can't release everything that we will probably try to target, but like stuff like Cricnix that are doing as well, and a lot of the other social cricket leagues, trying to get them together, because the hardest part about table cricket is that people can't find the space, the booking grounds, and
Yeah.
having a proper competition
Exactly.
and getting everyone together. So that's the whole concept behind it, of how we can bring all these communities together and actually have a proper organised competition, getting more numbers, because table cricket is massive. Obviously from Pakistan, a lot of people that have come from overseas, new people that have come from overseas as well,
Yeah.
are looking for a place to play. And not everyone wants to play hardball cricket.
Exactly. Yeah.
So Cricket New South Wales are working on this table cricket. I don't know, in Queensland they did a little tournament last year as well, where Queensland Cricket supported that as well. And they presented to Cricket Australia last year, and out of that, the Multicultural Action Plan was released from Cricket Australia. So table cricket in Australian cricket overall, I think, will take off at some stage once more of these leagues start forming. And I know for a fact that Cricket Australia are looking at almost a statewide or a nationwide like competition just for table cricket, like there are for the other pathways for the juniors. So this is something that I think will be eventuating at some point, and this is one of my going into this new role. Is something to drive stuff like these social cricket leagues. Not only table cricket, but there's also other tennis cricket. Tennis ball cricket.
Tennis ball cricket as well.
And all these other social cricket leagues. But I think table cricket's gonna. I know for a fact, not just in the Pakistani community, but for the wider community, really something that they would enjoy to play, because again, hardball cricket is something that people are not always a fan of and feel like they can't play hardball cricket and they want to play.
Effort.
Exactly, and I think table cricket, it's a lot cheaper. It's easier for people to just join and play. So yeah, definitely there is a big scope for table cricket, and I think this is the only way this will bring communities together as well. The non-South Asian and the South Asian cricket,
Yeah.
and also female cricket. I think females would be able to participate in this because
Yes.
it's not hardball cricket. Not all females are comfortable playing hardball cricket, so I think it's a good avenue for juniors, the seniors, female cricketers as well, both male and female as well. So I definitely agree. I think,
I'm glad we are on the same page with that, because
Yeah.
we have had a lot of participants who have played with us in the last 1 year who hadn't, touched a ball or a bat for the last 10 years. But now, they've come back into cricket and they think, it's easy, convenient, and it's less injury prone as compared to the regular hardball. So I'm glad we're on the same page. So anyway, we are excited to hear that from you. And apart from that, would you like to say anything to our listeners before you sign off?
Look, I think one big message is, I think for the parents more than anything, is really encourage your kids to go out there and play as much as you can. Any sports. Like obviously I'm here to talk about cricket, but I think it's really important these days. A lot of kids are behind a laptop, a phone, and I think a lot of kids don't go out and play. So I think really encouraging that and really balancing out studies and any sports to get physically active. I think it's really important, especially for mental health as well, and obviously physical benefits. So I think, really encouraging kids to go out there and play, and that's how they also will get better socially as well. Getting to talk to people that are maybe outside of their community. Sometimes a lot of South Asian kids only hang out with South Asian kids because they're not exposed to other cultures as well. So I think it's really important. Like for me, I feel like I'm more confident talking to other for different people because I think I was exposed to that when I was younger. That's through playing cricket. So I think it's really important that parents keep encouraging their kids to keep playing cricket.
That's an excellent message, Safan. Thank you so much for your time.
No worries.
And hopefully we'll meet soon in future as well.
All right. Thank you.